Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 10 of Lincoln 300. Last week, we covered the separation of powers and particularly looked at issues dealing with the executive branch. This week, we're going to turn our attention to the public good, the concept of the public good, and also the idea of the welfare state. And to explore these topics, we're going to be looking at the very specific question of higher education, something I know should interest everyone in this class since you are attending an institute of higher learning. So, what's our unit objectives for this week? In this unit, students will explore the concept of public good and explore examples of public goods. Particularly, this unit will focus on higher education and will explore the argument of whether or not higher education is actually a public good. After completing this unit, students will be able to define the concept of public goods in the welfare state, debate whether or not higher education is a public or private good, explain the position of those who believe that the federal government should provide more funds for higher education, and explain the position of those who believe that the federal government should provide fewer funds for higher education. So let's take a look at our reading assignment this week. You're going to see a number of pieces here, but don't be intimidated by how many there are. There are actually very few in number, and the first few are just basic breakdowns. I've opened this unit with a quote from founding father John Adams about public good. There must be a positive passion for the public good, the public interest, and this public passion must be superior to all private passions. Of course, the way our country operates today isn't quite the way that John Adams could have probably possibly imagined in the late 1700s and early 1800s. And that's because the United States didn't begin showing characteristics of becoming a welfare state until the 1930s when the Great Depression hit. It's at that time that you see Franklin Delano Roosevelt instituting policies such as the New Deal. And you learned a little bit about some of the issues that Franklin Delano Roosevelt ran into last week with justices on the Supreme Court. So that's kind of tying into where we're going this week. But in the 1930s, you began to see the development of a welfare state within the United States. It's not anywhere near what you might see in some European countries, but still it is present. We have things like Social Security, for example. So, what is a welfare state? A welfare state is this: it is a government that spends public money on benefits for its citizens, such as food, shelter, education, and health services. Insurance falls into this idea. Uh, Also, the idea of food stamps, for example. So that's what the welfare state is. There are varying degrees of the welfare state. Like I said, you'll see more extreme examples within Europe, but within the United States, this has been present since the 1930s. And there's a great deal of debate about the welfare state within the United States. Some people believe that things like food, shelter, education, and health services, that a little too much government money has been put into this. Others believe that either just enough is being put into seeing to the needs of those who need food, shelter, education, and health services. They see it as an investment within the nation. And then there are still others who believe that the country could do a better job of providing for food, shelter, education, and health services. So as you go through, you're going to learn about what public goods are, and public goods are commodities or services that are provided without profit to all members of a society, either by the government or a private individual or organization. So, from here, we're going to begin talking about the idea of higher education as a public good. On both sides of this debate, you're going to see some individuals that say, yes, our government should invest more in our universities and our colleges because we're making an investment in the future. Others make the argument, however, that by investing more money in these systems, there are some unscrupulous instances of where the system is taken advantage of and the money is wasted, and that it's actually causing rising costs of the college system. So, what you'll be doing this week is looking at arguments from various media sources that are debating this point, and some argue about whether education is a public good or a private good. These range from academic magazines to conservative and liberal publications. So, you'll really find a range of opinions and thought as you read about this topic. Once you have completed your readings, you will go back to the discussion board, of course, as always, and there are 3 posted questions. The first question is this: what are some examples of public goods? How can a public good be identified? And how can debate exist around a public good, such as how can a debate exist over whether a public good should be provided by the government or not? Point 2. Explain the positions of those who believe that the federal government should provide more funds for higher education, and those who believe that the federal government should provide fewer funds for higher education. Why does each side hold the opinion that it holds? Is there a middle ground that can be met between these 2 opinions? And as always, please note, I'm not looking for your personal opinion on this topic on the discussion board. What I really want you to do is to explain why both sides hold the opinion that each does, and then offer a suggestion for how the 2 sides can talk through the differences in the opinion. Make certain that you're balancing both points of view as you write about this topic. It doesn't matter really so much in the discussion board if it comes across which you believe is correct, but what I really want you to help the class understand is why each side holds the opinion that it holds. You can do this by pulling quotes out of the pieces or by paraphrasing and placing it in your own words. And finally, the third question: can you identify another public good that has a similar amount of controversy surrounding the subject? And let me tell you, you will very easily be able to if you decide to tackle topic number 3. Research and link to at least 2 articles that hold a different opinion on your chosen subject. So, for example, you'll want to find at least 1 article that supports the public good that you have listed and one that opposes it. Then you'll answer, why does each side hold the opinion that it holds? Is there a middle ground that can be met between these 2 opinions? And once again, remember, I'm not looking for your personal opinion on the topic. I want you to help the class understand why each side holds the opinion that it holds. And so that you have a safe place to exercise your own thoughts on the subject, and so that you can too work your thoughts out on public goods, there is a public good journal assignment too. Once again, in around 300 words, write your opinion on the federal government's role in higher education. Which author did you most closely agree with? With whom did you most strongly disagree? Do you detect the influence of your parents, the media, your culture, or your faith in shaping your opinion? Once again, only you and I, your instructor, will be able to read this submission. And once again, I will not be grading it on whether or not I believe that you are correct. I just want to see that you've thought about this and that you have demonstrated that you've thought about how this fits into your worldview and your own political stance. As always, if you have any questions this week, please be in contact and let me know. I'm happy to hear from you, and I look forward to seeing your posts on the boards and reading your journal submissions.